When I did a poll to see if people wanted a video on the Union Jack or the Union flag, which is the flag of the United Kingdom, a lot of people said that they thought it was done to death and that it would be really boring. So I've decided to listen to the democratic voice of my subscribers, and instead of making a video about it, I'm going to make an entire series about it. But in this one, I'd like to look at each individual flag in turn, so maybe to come up with some more facts and information that aren't in the usual kind of top 10 list or basic facts kind of thing. So today I'd like to look at Scotland's flag, which is this specimen in front of you here. And as we can see, obviously Scotland is a country inside the United Kingdom at the moment. It is north of England, and of course it has its own flag or flags with its own history, which is very interesting, and I'm going to take a look at that in this video. So as we can see, this is indeed the Scottish flag. It features a white cross, which is called a Saltire or the St Andrew's cross, but I'll get into that, on a blue background. And a few notes on the blue background is that there is a significance to it, and the shade of blue can vary depending on the time period. I think it flipped from being sort of navy blue to sky blue at various points, and now it's sort of in between on most of them. But as I was saying, the word saltire can come from the French, which is saltoire, which also comes from Latin, which is kind of the idea of having a cross-shaped cross, as in like an X kind of cross. And this goes back to St. Andrew. And St. Andrew was one of the apostles. He was preaching, I believe, in sort of Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, what's now Turkey, that kind of area. And he was crucified in Patras, which is, as I said, in Asia Minor. And although at the time the sources said that he was crucified on a Roman cross, just like Jesus, later on this tradition emerged that he was actually crucified on a cross which was in this X shape. And obviously then this became a religious symbol, just like the cross that Jesus was crucified on also became the very famous religious symbol of Christendom after his martyrdom and crucifixion. How does this relate to Scotland? Well, in the middle of the 9th century there was a Pictish king called Oengus, which is the predecessor to today's name Angus, and he was fighting a battle against the Angles. Now we're not entirely sure which king it was. We are given the name Athelstan, but who this precisely was we aren't too sure. But essentially he's fighting against the Anglo-Saxons, and the night before the battle he is visited. I think he recently had, or he was thinking about converting to Christendom at this point, Christianity, and he had a vision of St. Andrew who came to him, and he promised that if, he won the battle, then he would make St. Andrew the patron of his kingdom of Pictland, or Alba. It was becoming Alba at that point. And actually before the battle there was a miraculous sign in the sky, which of course was the clouds. They came together and formed the shape of this cross, which has been associated with St. Andrew. So he took this as a sign of the divine blessing, and Bob's your uncle, he went off and won the battle, and that's why today we have the flag that we do have. Now this is another flag that was very popular in Scotland in the early Middle Ages and the Middle Ages, and this is the Lion Rampant. The Lion Rampant is also found on the flag of the county of Holland, well, the old county of Holland, so don't rage at me. I know the modern provinces of North and South Holland don't have this lion on them, but the old county of Holland in the Middle Ages, this was one of their symbols. And I will go into that in another video when I make my video about the flag of the Netherlands and Holland, that kind of thing. But this Lion Rampant banner was its first sort of attested to being used during the reign of Malcolm III, which is late 11th century. And then it's used again by a king. The first time it's really attested in sources, and we have evidence for, is found during the reign of Alexander II. Who was King of Scotland, and it's actually under his son, who ruled also in the 13th century, I think mid to late 13th century, that he added another bit onto the flag, which was the double sort of banner to it, the sort of border with the, I believe they are fleur-de-lis actually, and this is possibly going back to the fact that the Scots were often allied to the French, because they had the common enemy of England, and therefore you have what's called the Old Alliance, and this really runs for quite a long time, even into the middle of the 18th century. The Scottish and the French had a certain connection together, obviously because of their shared animosity towards the English. And actually you see that when the two crowns do unite of England and Scotland, obviously you've got the three lions, or leopards actually, there is a theory that they're leopards, and the Irish harp, the harp of Eire. And then obviously in this banner of all of them together, you then get the Scottish Lion Rampant, which is, I should include, the royal banner of Scotland, and still is, which is related to the old Scottish kings. But then of course when the Scottish kings became the English kings, they mingled all of these, which is a similar thing that will happen to the Saltire. And actually there are quite a few regional flags in Scotland. These are just a few of them that I found quite interesting. A lot of them of the Isles and in the north, and then one of Co.AG, which is how you pronounce that, even though it doesn't look like you should pronounce it like that. And if you do ever end up going to Co.AG, I highly recommend getting fish and chips there, because they are really good. I remember I used to go on holiday to Galloway when I was a child, so I have some fond memories of Co.AG. But anyway, these are quite similar to these two flags which I've put up, obviously the Norwegian flag. And if you weren't aware, this is because a lot of the Scottish Isles and the north of Scotland, Caithness, that kind of area, was inhabited by Norsemen, so sort of the people who came from Norway during the Viking Age, and they left a big impact on sort of the culture. Originally the language as well. In Shetland and Orkney, or is it just Orkney, you had Norn, which is this language related to Old Norse, and for a while, I think even into the 13th or 14th centuries, parts of Shetland and Orkney were actually part of Norway, and the Norwegians did try and conquer other parts of Scotland, ending at the Battle of Largs, when the Norwegian king Hakon IV was actually defeated. But that's why quite a lot of the flags on this one are similar to the Norwegian flag, as you can see, especially the Isles where they were. And finally, obviously, the county of Durham, which is the county below Northumberland. The symbol in the middle is St. Cuthbert's cross. St. Cuthbert was an Anglo-Saxon holy man from Northumbria, and it's actually my reenactment society. We always paint the St. Cuthbert's cross on our shields because we are St. Cuthbert's land. That's the name of the northeastern group of Viking Age reenactors that I'm a part of. And obviously that has then come into the flag of Co.AG as well, because of the Anglo-Saxon connection between the regions of the cult of St. Cuthbert. And obviously we have to look at sort of the end of the Elizabeth's reign, which was 1603 when she died. She was of course the Virgin Queen, but this was one big issue, which was that she didn't have any issue. See what I did there? Because she didn't have any kids. So essentially at the end of her reign you get James the First of England and the 4th of Scotland, I think, or was it? No, it's probably 6th maybe. Something else of Scotland, and he is the reason why you then get the combination of the Scottish Saltire and the English flag of St. George, and you combine the two to make this flag, which is the precursor obviously to the modern one. And then you obviously have this one as well, which is quite an interesting one, which is the one where obviously it was a Scottish king ruling over the English, so this one was perhaps favoured by the Scots because it had the Saltire taking the priority position in front of St. George's cross, which was used in various places. And then obviously they were the precursors to the modern flag, which is this specimen, which has a few other bits and bobs added into it as well, which I will cover in another video. So thanks very much for watching. This has been my video about St. Andrew's Cross, the Royal Banner of Scotland, and essentially the part of the Union flag that comes from the Scots and the Scottish, and some of the history behind it. So I really do hope you have enjoyed this video, and that you'll check out the other videos in this series. If you're new, I am History with Hilbert. I make videos about history, flags, languages, some politics, not too much though, but mostly history related stuff. So if you like this, then please do remember, give it a thumbs up, comment anything you want to know below or want to add on. You know, there's always people who know more about these things than me, and I'm ever fascinated by the things I learned from my commenters. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all again very soon.